Now, I'm the bad guy for pointing all this out. I'm also the bad guy for pointing out that the Obama administration is not adequately protecting us. We have another bad guy with us on the line, David Sirota. He is also constantly criticizing the Obama administration for not living up to their campaign promises. David, how do you answer for yourself? It appears that you are going to cost the Democrats the elections in 2010 single-handedly.
Well, I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's hard to even take it seriously. But I guess this is the straw man argument that the White House is putting out here, and they're saying that me, people like you, Rachel Maddow, Glenn Greenwald at Salon.com, the handful, really the really small group of progressive voices who have substantively criticized the administration on the substance. I mean, it's not like the major liberal progressive groups in Washington are making much noise against the administration. So the president has been out at these fundraisers saying that, the professional left, so-called, are really responsible for moving tens of millions of voters to be disheartened with this administration. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Here's what I don't understand, and maybe you have a theory on it, Cenk, which is I don't understand if there's an enthusiasm gap. Why doesn't the president go out there and say, look, I'm going to acknowledge that we didn't pass a public option and that I wanted one. I'm going to acknowledge that the Wall Street bill wasn't as strong as it could have been. I'm going to acknowledge that we still have more work to do on the economy, and that's why I need folks to vote for Democrats. Instead, what he's really saying, if you listen to him, is, look, we got everything done, and the only problem is the people who say that we haven't gotten everything done.
Well, of course, I agree with you, but that's because I'm part of the professional left, and we have the temerity to ask someone to actually do what they said they were going to do. It's outrageous of us. But here's another question, David. Did let's take the four horsemen of the professional left, and let's be generous to one another and say it's me, you, Glenn Greenwald, and Jane Hampshire. Those are the four names that I keep seeing popping up, right? Mm-hmm. And now Rachel's on MSNBC, more mainstream media. She's doing a great job, etc. But we're the guys who've been pushing from the outside throughout, right? Mm-hmm. Could you conceive that we would have this kind of power? That we, together, the 4 or 5 of us, or however many it might be, that we could somehow get in the brains of all of the Democratic voters and say, and as they're going to go to the election, goes, well, what does Sirota say? What does Greenwald say? What does Hampshire say? Well, that's the way I got to go. Did you imagine we could have this kind of power in our place?
I never really imagined it. But think about how insulting that is to voters for a second, right? I mean, maybe you could say it about conservative Fox News watchers that they take their orders. But I think the Democratic base, when you say to the Democratic base, look, the reason why you're not happy is because a couple of people, Cenk, Sirota, Greenwald, Hampshire, are telling you not to be happy, that asserts that the implication there is that the Democratic electorate simply takes orders. And I think one thing that has been proven over the years is that that's just not true. I don't think the Democratic electorate, the progressive base, is as stupid as folks would have us believe. I mean, these are people who are living in reality, who simply don't like and can evaluate what's going on and don't like what's going on. And I think to say otherwise is to say that they're a bunch of idiots.
Besides which, I got to be totally honest, I don't think 98% of the people that are Democratic voters have ever heard of any of us.
Exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's absurd to think that we're influencing them to we have a Vulcan mind meld on them, and we're making them do things. What we're doing is pointing out what is happening. They're trying to shoot the messenger here, right? But the message is delivered either way. Did you see that woman yesterday during the CNBC town hall?
Yep.
Who said, I am so exhausted with trying to defend you, President Obama, right? So my question to you, David, is what got them that exhausted? Because, look, I care about warrantless wiretapping, I care about civil liberties, et cetera, but I don't think that's their main concern. What do you think is for that voter out there who's not sure if they're going to show up to vote, what do you think made them the maddest about the Democratic Party or Obama that they got to that state?
Well, I'll give you a great example. I think it's a lot of things, but I'll give you a great example. I think when the president talks about how we've solved the health care crisis, and then they open up their newspaper, like folks here in Colorado opened up their newspaper yesterday, and saw that the insurance industry is jacking up their prices yet again, and citing the health care bill as one of the reasons for that. Now, I don't trust the insurance industry. I mean, they're jacking their premiums because they want to make more profits. But I think people say, wait a minute, I'm being told the situation has been fixed, and yet I see that my insurance company is going to be jacking my premiums. In other words, I'm seeing that actually not very much was fixed. I think when the president goes out like he did yesterday and says, I ended the war in Iraq, and then people turn on the TV or turn on or read the news and see that we still have 50,000 troops in Iraq, I think people say, listen, this is not change. This is the image, the illusion of change, but this is not change. And I just don't think voters are so stupid that if you just tell them something over and over again, at least progressive voters, that they're not going to see the reality behind it.
You know, they criticized us for saying we wanted the public option. Now, why did we want the public option? Was it because we were petulant and we just wanted every single thing we ever wanted, right? Which, by the way, the public option was a scintilla of what the original idea was. We're nowhere near single payer, et cetera. No, it's because we were worried that there wouldn't be competition, and if there weren't competition, we would get higher and higher premiums. And we said they would charge us more. Obama said no, they wouldn't. Well, aren't we just flat out right, and Obama was flat out wrong? And maybe he should check himself on that before he worries about how to criticize the so-called professional left?
Well, he was for the public option. I mean, that's the craziest part about it. I mean, I'm reading off the White House website. It says the three fundamental tenets of health care reform, one of them is a public option. And now suddenly he's out there saying that the people who wanted a public option, wanted him to fight for a public option, wanted him to at least not negotiate away the public option with the drug industry and the insurance industry, which we know, it's been reported that he did. And he's saying that those of us are crazy. And I think this really brings up a deeper question about what our democracy is supposed to be all about. There's a difference between being a citizen and being a politician. The moment citizens act like and justify the capitulations of politicians is the moment that our political system really becomes quite authoritarian. The question citizens need to ask themselves is, are you for the issues regardless of who's in power, or are you for who's ever in power regardless of the issues? And I side with the former, and I think that's the basis of citizenship in a democracy.
I love that we get criticized for being consistent. So I was against warrantless wiretapping when Bush did it. I'm against it when Obama does it. I hated the drug compromises where we couldn't negotiate with the drug companies or import drugs when Bush did it. I hate it when Obama does it, and somehow that makes me a bad guy. I mean, okay, it's one thing for Obama to get mad because we're calling him out. How do you explain to the rest of the media who says, how dare you, when we're saying an irrefutably consistent point?
Well, I think, look, the media worships power. The media is part of the problem here. The media says essentially who's ever in power is infallible, and criticism of those in power are on the fringe, regardless of where that criticism comes from, although it's certainly the case when it comes from the progressive left. Look, I think you're right to put it this way. There's no shame in being consistent. Unfortunately, and this speaks to a deeper change in our culture, I think that this goes to the very core of celebrity culture in general and how it applies to our politics. People right now, or a certain segment of people, certainly the media, but a certain segment of the population, is more organized around individual celebrity than they are agendas. I mean, look at Organizing for America. It's a perfect example. When they were asked a couple months ago, what in particular are you organizing for, they said, we are organizing for the president's agenda. And what's said there is, we are organizing for the president's agenda, whatever he says the agenda is, at any given moment. That is organizing around an individual, not an agenda. And that's frankly what you, what me, what Jane Hampshire, what Glenn Greenwald, what any principled citizen in this country who is more loyal to an agenda than an individual is really going up against.
All right, one more thing, David. We're talking to David Sirota. He wrote Who's Responsible for the Progressive Enthusiasm Gap? That's on openleft.com and on huffingtonpost.com. He's, of course, also the author of Hostile Takeover and the Uprising. So now Obama is cleaning house. It looks like, well, Summers is gone. Looks like there's a good chance Rahm Emanuel will be gone. a decent chance Tim Geithner will be gone all after the elections. Now, those are three of the worst guys in the administration in terms of policy, right? I don't know them on a personal level. That seems to be a sign of hope, but is it real hope? Do you think, is there a sense that we're going to go in a better direction, or is he just going to pick more establishment guys to replace the old establishment guys?
Well, look, there's historical precedent for, I mean, we saw Bill Clinton, you know, he, in the lead up to the 1996 election, got rid of some, I guess, so-called liberals in his administration and started taking orders from Dick Morris. So there's certainly precedent in the Democratic Party approaching a president's reelection that they put more establishment, more conservative people around them. And I think I don't have any indication that Obama will put more progressive people around him. I sure hope that that's the case. But here's the crazy part about it when you think about it. The Democrats had 60 votes when he came into office in the Senate. They had the House, the Senate, the presidency. So I don't want to say that the fight is over, but what I want to say is that if the Democrats lose seats, I can only imagine that the president will say, well, listen, it just got even harder to pass anything progressive, and so I'm going to have to go to the. I mean, I don't agree with that idea, but watching this administration, knowing what it had and what it did with what it had in the past, it's hard for me to imagine them doing the right thing and going back to what made this president get elected president.
David, and real quick, given what he's been saying over the last couple of days about, oh, the damn left, they keep asking for more and they're not satisfied and making fun, et cetera, it doesn't seem that he has any inclination to do that, right? I mean, it's very possible that you could have learned a lesson from these, what appear to be upcoming losses, as, oh my God, maybe I should have delivered that change that I promised people. But it doesn't look like he's learned that lesson, has he?
No, this looks like triangulation, and this is the guy who campaigned explicitly. I mean, you can go on Google, search Obama triangulation. Remember, he criticized Clinton for triangulation. This looks like the beginning of triangulation in advance of a re-election campaign. I sure hope it's not, and I hold out hope that it's not, but that's certainly what it looks like.
David Sirota, thank you so much for joining us, and stop pointing out facts. It's
Cenk,
hurting
you keep up the good
Democrats.
fight, man. Really, you're an inspiration. Keep up the good fight.
All right, thank you, man.